Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. If you have been watching the digital card game space and especially many digital card game content creators, you may have noticed that they have started to advertise all these new generation digital card games like Cards Unchained or Parallel or Champions. All of these games share the same feature that the cards, or at least some of the cards, are NFTs, so they live on the blockchain. But is this a revolution and evolution? Is this the future of card games? My top tier patron Witchcraft asked me to look into this topic a little bit, and now I have quite a lot in fact. And yeah, what's up with all of these crypto card games anyway? The original card games were of course physical games, including the trading card games pioneered by Magic the Gathering. And with physical card games you own your cards. But then when it enters the digital space, with stuff like Hearthstone for example, you no longer actually own your cards. They are just something that the company owns and just licenses to you. But if there would be a solution that would actually let you own your own cards in a collectible card game, like if you're collecting stuff, then it makes sense to own it, right? Then that would be attractive to many card game players. And this is the problem that the NFT card games promise to solve. You're going to own your cards, you're going to be able to trade your cards, you're going to be able to sell your cards, you're going to be able to buy cards from secondary markets. You can even play to earn money. Pretty interesting promises, but are these promises currently fulfilled, and can they be fulfilled? As for the current reality, the first obstacle immediately comes from the nature of blockchains and the transaction fees, the gas that's needed to power the transactions on a blockchain, the power that is needed to mint the NFTs in the first place and then to transact those NFTs to other people. So for example, the median Bitcoin transaction fee is currently, right at the time I'm making this video, $1.91, with the average fee being more than $4. Of course, this changes daily depending on how many transactions are happening. The median Ethereum transaction fee is currently $3.59, average is more than $8. So when you have a lot of cards, and if you played Magic and you had some common cards and stuff, you know that many of these cards are not worth much at all. Then these transaction fees, they significantly hamper the ability to buy and sell cards. And obviously NFT card games have been trying to solve this problem. So they can try to solve this problem, for example, by going to Ethereum layer 2. So layer 2 is a blockchain that it resides on top of the Ethereum blockchain. There are like many these blockchains, these layer 2 blockchains. So this extends the Ethereum. It reduces gas fees by rolling multiple updates into a single update on the layer 1 of Ethereum. Or they can move into a different blockchain, or more scalable blockchain, for example, like Bitcoin SV, which has also become popular with some of the games. But these solutions, they typically either weaken the security of the transactions, or they make it much more difficult to cash out of these games, or sometimes they do both. So the promise that, hey, you can sell these cards and you can trade these cards, it just becomes much more difficult to handle when they're trying to avoid all of those transaction fees, and the transaction fees just kill the economy in the first place. So yeah, the current blockchains don't seem to offer that great of a solution right now for this problem. There are also problems with trading. Trading is a fundamental aspect of physical card games. Hey, I'm going to give you this card and you're going to give me those cards in return. But that's not so easy to replicate in digital and on blockchains. And for example, in Cards Unchained, there are even examples of middlemen on Discord servers, so that people who want to trade their cards, they both transfer the cards to this middleman, and then he is going to verify, okay, you both have these items that you promised, and now I'm going to give them out to you. Yeah. Is this progress? No, this is just awful. So this sort of trading is not very good sort of trading. Then there's the big question of preserving value of your cards. Like if I have a folder full of Magic cards, those have some value, right? Well, I guess they really only have value if someone wants them, if there's some scarcity of those cards. Well, digital cards, you could have as many digital cards in existence as possible. And yeah, trying to preserve value, trying to make these into collector's items has resulted in some very shady practices as well. For example, in Cards Unchained, some cards are only available in packs that you buy and not in packs that you earn. So there's like the same pack, but it's not the same pack. And that's an attempt to make at least some cards preserve some value, because the original cards in Cards Unchained that you could grind for, like you could grind for cards in something like Hearthstone, you can earn packs for free. Then actually, if you can earn the packs for free, if you can earn all the cards for free, then the value of those cards just kept going down, and this sort of collector aspect of this game was not preserved, and then they decided that, hey, let's make some only in board packs, and that has not been a great solution at all to this problem. So preserving value of something digital is tricky. So the fundamental problem is that the promises of these NFT card games, they're just basically flawed on a very fundamental level. With physical cards, all you need is, if I have a couple of old Magic decks, and I have occasionally found some old Magic decks somewhere in a locker, and then, hey, yeah, oh, I had this deck here. All I need is somebody else, and I can play with them, with these old decks. But when it's a digital game, the game servers need to remain available. Without the game servers, there's nothing. You don't have functional cards without the game servers. You just have a couple of JPEGs. So that's why you can never truly own digital cards in the same sense that you can own physical cards. Because physical cards, they have a potential use. I mean, sure, no one might want to play the game. But in theory, you could, as long as those cards exist. But that does not apply to digital cards at all. If the game servers are gone, the game is gone. And those cards, they're just pictures. And that's why the NFTs actually don't offer anything new to a card game. We have been here before. We had a card game where you could own your cards to the extent that it's possible to own a digital card, and that was Valve's Artifact. Artifact was the attempt to make a digital card game where you actually own all of your cards, and that was back in 2018. It had full integration with the Steam marketplace. Alright, that was a specific marketplace, but I mean, the cards still don't do anything without the game, so you still require the game to be existing in order for cards to do anything. So it makes no difference whether they're in a blockchain or whether they're in a Steam marketplace. And Steam marketplace gets rid of all of the problems that you have with the transaction fees and all the problems that the blockchain brings along. So it's just a superior solution to owning your cards. And this game still totally failed, because it was not free to play, unlike its digital competitors. So we have already had a better solution for owning your digital cards, and even that one failed. So why would the NFT ones succeed? It's mostly just fear of missing out and hype that they're trying to pull off anyway. But I'm not happy to just criticize the present. Okay, well, the Steam marketplace is a superior platform to the current blockchains. But could there ever be a good use for NFTs in card games? And in theory, maybe. Let's say that there was a secure blockchain with near zero cross transactions, and then you had a small developer, then they could use that to store their card ownership and enable transactions instead of building their own solution. They wouldn't be reliant on Steam, and because transactions would cost hardly anything and they would be totally secure, that would enable a secondary market. So in theory, maybe you could enable this sort of secondary market, as long as you realize that you never truly own the digital cards, in the sense that those cards will become totally useless if the game servers go down. Blockchain does not help with that at all. And the smartest of the NFT game builders have realized this. Actually, it was pretty funny because this video was already almost ready, and then I saw this tweet and I just had to include it. Champions trading card game, one of these NFT games. We are interested in any blockchain that can do this. Each card reveals at least one shard, so need to be able to burn 10 separate NFTs for 0, allow regular pack NFT into changed into crafted pack NFTs for 0, then allow pack to be opened and reveal 10 new NFTs for 0. Is the goal for users to be able to perform actions with no transaction cost? Yes. Basically, just burn cards for free, since many of the cards being burned are only worth 1 or 2 cents, so gas can't be higher than card value, and then allow the newly crafted packs to either be opened, traded, or sold by the player. So yeah, if such a blockchain existed, then that blockchain could be used as a solution in order to create this market, although the game developers could just generate the market by themselves within the game as well. And I do consider Champions to be the forerunner of this new wave of NFT card games. They minted 1 million cards. They're not trying to artificially inflate the value of the cards in that sense that they are trying to ensure that there is a supply of cards, much like you would have a supply of card packs. So for example, much like, let's say, Magic the Gathering, well, I can't buy any revised packs anymore, but the revised cards still exist, so they're trying to copy that model. But even Champions, they're still more focused, if you look at their Twitter feed, they're much more focused on the value of the cards rather than the game itself. And that's not something... Would you have imagined like Magic the Gathering being advertised based on the value of the cards instead of like playing the game? No, they are still a little bit in a different business than game business. So there are still some fundamental issues even with Champions. Also, looking into Champions data, the game has 500 daily active users, and singleton card prices can go over $100. With 500 daily active users, that is a tiny, tiny, tiny game. And then we have this sort of feed, so obviously this was just some influencer, but they did tweet this from the official account. Don't miss out on the TCG gem. They got daily tournaments, daily rank where you can earn BSV. It's very affordable to build decks. Current return on investment is less than a month. Return on investment, like, don't be late for this upcoming bull gaming run. This is fear of missing out. This is trying to build a bubble, but there's just nothing to it. There's no substance behind this. So yeah, currently these NFT games, they just don't fly. They're just based on fear of missing out, trying to build a bubble of those games. There's no real value behind them. So how can you add more value behind your NFT game? Well, the answer to that is to take an old game that has failed and repurpose it as an NFT title. Hey, more gameplay depth. Woohoo! One recent example, Shardbound, coming back this year as an NFT game. It was an old card game that failed. But that's of course the thing that, okay, it failed in the first place. Why is it better with NFTs? What do NFTs add to the game? Well, according to the publisher, the NFTs will provide all player types with valid progression paths and give players more agency over what in-game items they want to own. You can do that without a single NFT, you know. You can give players progression paths and you can give them agency over what they own. You don't need NFTs for that, so yeah. Adding a secondary market, adding some kind of ownership of digital card game cards is a very attractive concept. Although you have to recognize that similar ownership as in physical is simply impossible, because you will always need those game servers to be up for those cards to have a use case. Otherwise you're just owning copies of JPEGs. But the current NFT games, there are fundamental issues with the way blockchains work. There are some, I'm not even sure if those can be solved. The transaction cost issues, for example, security issues. There's just very fundamental problems in building your secondary market on top of a blockchain. Theoretically, maybe it could be solved, but right now it doesn't look like there is any solution and none of the current games solve it in any way. So I just wouldn't touch the current NFT card games. I just wouldn't touch them at all. Maybe in the future there's something that could be done with the technology, but I don't really see it happening, so yeah. Avoid. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.